Welcome to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and Zodiac forecast for week beginning the 24th of November. I'm going to share with you some of the big news, then on screen the event chart on Monday, which always provides a backdrop for the whole 7 days. I'll then go through those influences in detail, frame by frame, to give a clear picture of what we can collectively expect. Please stay with me. I'll then go through each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces, which you can relate to in terms of your ascendant, sun or the moon. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. I have shared of late that over 50% of people who regularly watch these videos are not subscribers. If that's you, please help the channel to continue to thrive and do so now. Please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. But your views, comments and likes are truly appreciated. Year 2026 is fast racing up. You can watch your deep dive video for the upcoming year by clicking on the link beneath this video. Also, please visit patrickarundell.com. We've made lots of changes. It's really coming together. I think a lot of astrology sites are a little bit generic, but we have information that's really quite unique. That's patrickarundell.com. You can also sign up for your free daily written horoscope to be fired to your device each morning by visiting the site. So as we come into this week, there's a sense of extra energy and thrust, and it's because the sun has arrived into the expansive fire sign of Sagittarius, which is really exciting. Also forges a notable link to the planet of transformation, Pluto. There could be changes going on deep within us, but also in our practical circumstances. I'll share more about that. But Saturn and Mercury have been in retrograde, and that probably has made life quite frustrating of late. Things may have been going even slower, it's felt, but they're actually collaborating brilliantly at the start of this week, along with Venus, the planet of relating and money. I'll share more about that. We have a quarter moon on Friday. Quarter moons happen twice a month. It's when the sun and the moon are at 90 degrees in a square. Sun in the sign of Sagittarius wants to be free, independent. The moon reminds us of our obligations and responsibilities. Not the best of quarter moons to promise to do things that we later regret. So just to be aware of our need for space and balance that against our obligations. But on Friday, Saturn ends a retrograde which began on July the 13th. It was initially in the go-getting sign of Aries, but from the 1st of September back into the water sign of Pisces. And that has been really quite tough. And also on Saturday, Mercury ends a retrograde which began initially in the sign of Sagittarius on the 9th of November, but it goes direct in Scorpio. The significance of them going direct is really profound, so I'll share more of those as well. We've also got a tremendous alliance between Uranus and Neptune. What's that all about too? If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. So on the screen now is the event chart, and as ever we need to be mindful of the two luminaries. The sun newly arrived in Sagittarius at 1:57, forging a great link to Pluto at 1:45. Because fire thrives off air, the fact that Pluto is in the air sign of Aquarius is great, and it's brilliant for debates for sure. And if we want to connect to people who we feel are real simpatico, And anything to do with group situations, long-term planning, can just take a giant step forwards. But the moon is at the top of the chart in the steady Eddy sign of Capricorn. Technically the moon's not at its best in Capricorn, but it does make us very aware of the need for stability and security. But it may see also our emotions a little bit closer to the surface as we come into this new week. Now I just want to share with you the position of Jupiter. Jupiter of course is the ruler of the sign of Sagittarius, but also of Pisces. So Jupiter continues to provide its services despite its retrograde, both to Saturn, but Mercury and Venus. So if you are talking about a business matter, perhaps to do with a home-based enterprise, perhaps it's something you want to do that's fresh. If there has been a period of research, planning and preparation, but things haven't quite taken off, I think as we get to the end of the week and Saturn goes direct on Friday, Mercury stations direct on Saturday, things can really start to gain traction, which is truly exciting. Now I mentioned in my introduction about Uranus and Neptune. Uranus of course is back into the sign of Taurus, but it is in retrograde. Neptune's in retrograde too. But Uranus is very much about innovation and pushing us in Taurus to think afresh about our life foundations, our approach to resources, our values, but also money. Neptune's a much more spiritual influence, particularly in its home sign of Pisces. So we could find ourselves having brainwaves and insights in a very enlightening way that can help us to evolve and move things on. So despite the fact that we're coming into the last few days of Saturn and Mercury's retrogrades, do you know there's an awful lot of potential for change, for things to just take a big step forwards in a very dynamic manner. Please stay with me as I go through each of the 12 signs. So Aries, as you come into this new week, your ruler Mars is in an awkward right angle to the North Node, the point of destiny in the sign of Pisces. If there is something that's really been frustrating you, there could be a tendency or a desire to use the newly arrived energy of the Sun in Sagittarius along with Mars to just go for it in that moment, but in a way disregard perhaps your sensitivities. So don't rush something that's a little bit delicate. But intriguingly, at the start of this week, Sun also forges a very strong link to Pluto. If you're someone with a very clear picture of what you want to achieve for your long term, this is a really helpful aspect. Pluto can be about power, but it can also be about what's not necessarily visible and seen. So perhaps the conversations you're having out of sight with people, the alliances you're forging, how you're developing your network with others, those are clues of how you can make progress this week for sure. But in a more practical sense, things that you've inputted in and perhaps shown a lot of commitment to over a long period of time can actually come back to you this week. We have a terrific angle at the start of this week between Jupiter, the planet of plenty, Venus and Mercury. Venus can be about money, Mercury can be about commerce, and Saturn can be about structures. They're all forging a very helpful link despite Mercury and Saturn still in retrograde. So if something is just straining, it's not quite showing that final step forwards, just know it can do by the end of this week. The quarter moon, however, on Friday does echo that angle between Mars and the North Node at the start of the week. Once more, rushing is not necessarily going to get you to your target, to your outcome, any quicker than it does if you pace yourself. But then on Friday, Saturn does release a lot of tension, particularly psychological tension. If you have found yourself a bit more worrisome generally over the last couple of years, it wouldn't be a complete surprise, and that may have become much more obvious again from the 1st of September. But also on Saturday, Mercury ends a retrograde. And for you, Mercury is in the part of your situation that's to do with shared finances, anything to do with long-term investments, property matters, stocks and shares, inheritances, those type of things. I think if you have been waiting for some clarity, it will come by the end of this week, and it can be encouraging news. So a week when you have an opportunity to take a step forwards, but just know it may take until the end of the week before you finally feel that you're gaining true traction. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. Taurus, as you come into this new week, the Sun has moved into the most passionate part of your scope, joining up with Mars, but in a more transformational way over the next month. If you're putting a lot of energy and effort and commitment in, and it is met by someone else, your devotion can get even stronger. But if you're wanting to do something more entrepreneurial or apply for a job, the link with the Sun and Pluto at the start of this week, if you have an interview or do a presentation or pitch, you can come across in a very powerful way. Also, Venus, your ruler, links beautifully with Mercury. If there has been a few jagged edges, this is a chance to try to find and celebrate the things you have in common with one another. They're also linking very well to Jupiter in your sector of everyday words and thoughts, the planet of luck, but Saturn too. So a very important discussion, personally or professionally, is possible at the start of this week. However, if you are in a tie or you have a friendship where you don't feel someone's as committed to you as you are to them, the clash between Mars and the North Node at the start of this week and the quarter moon on Friday could get you thinking again. But then Saturn goes direct on Friday. If you have felt that some of your longer term hopes have just been going along at a snail's pace, especially since the 1st of September, things can speed up right through to the 14th of February. And also with Mercury going direct in the part of your chart to do with relationships, if there have been any cross wires over the last 3 weeks, now they can start to unravel in a more constructive way. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. So Gemini, your week beginning the 24th of November is going to see your ruler Mercury station direct on Saturday. But you know, Mercury still forges very constructive links this week. Exactly on Tuesday with Venus, the planet of relating and money, but also to Jupiter, the planet of fortune, and Saturn, the planet of wisdom. So if you are trying to make progress around a financial or business matter, your ability to connect to people in a collaborative way is something that's going to hold you in great stead. In fact, with the Sun now in your opposite sign over the next 4 weeks, relationships of all kinds are going to take centre stage. But the Sun is also linking to Pluto. Something can transform in your situation. It may be that you're talking to someone who shares your philosophies. It may be someone you have a real connection to romantically, but they may live at a distance. They may come from a completely different background to you. But how you feel about what's important to you and those connections could become clarified even at this early stage of the week with Mercury still in retrograde. But Saturn, of course, has been rewinding its steps in your sector of success since the 1st of September. If you have been experiencing some headwinds professionally or in terms of goals and ambitions, or things have just gone so much slower than you would really like, understandably you could feel very, very frustrated. But as Saturn goes direct on Friday, followed by Mercury on Saturday, something can just seem to be released. And that energy releasing can be like a logjam moving out the way on a river, and suddenly you can flow forwards in a much more effective way. But how you work with others, building up goodwill, give and take, creating a sense of harmony are all opportunities. So just know that with Mars clashing with the North Node on Monday and the quarter moon, if you do experience some frustrations because people don't necessarily see it the same way as you, try to keep the lines of communication open until you can seize open a way that you can work more closely together, but it may require a little bit of give and take. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that are played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. And sir, your week beginning the 24th of November has seen the sun move into the part of your chart that's to do with productivity, efficiency, being virtuous, looking out for things like our health, sleep, diet, attending to our obligations. It doesn't sound very sexy, does it? But the sun actually forges a very constructive link to Pluto. If you're discussing sorting out your finances, squeezing a bit more from your assets, you may actually be able to do something truly transformational. Also, at the start of this week, Venus and Mercury, despite Mercury's retrograde, are collaborating brilliantly with Jupiter in your sign, and also the steady eddy of Saturn. Something that's important to you in terms of your creativity, maybe even around a relationship, could start to take shape in a very helpful way. Now, there is a quarter moon which occurs on Friday, and it does suggest that you can't do everything. So if there are some things that you're juggling, it is going to be important to prioritize. But by the end of the week, as Saturn goes direct, followed by Mercury, if you do have an opportunity to actually spin out and put some of those obligations to one side and enjoy yourself, do something more frivolous, go out with some friends, go on a date, have some moments of joyfulness. It's going to be a great way to finish this week. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that are played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. So Leo, your week beginning the 24th of November has a spark of excitement, passion and enthusiasm which comes from the sun arriving in your fellow fire sign of Sagittarius, but forging a brilliant link to the transformational Pluto. A conversation you have early in this week can be very heartening. There's also a great link between Venus and Mercury in the part of your chart to do with home and emotion, which could have seen some frustrations recently, some cross wires with Mercury in its retrograde, but they're linking brilliantly to Jupiter and Saturn. Tune into your feelings, your instincts, even if it is around a creative strand with the sun in the 5th house, or around someone you're drawn to, because they will guide you really well. As the week goes on, there is a quarter moon which occurs on Friday. It's a quarter moon which could tease into the open someone who may be a little bit envious of you, Leo. It may be a friend, it may be a partner that has got some kind of issue with control, and maybe you will need to use a little bit of humour to diffuse things, but you can do that. Your charisma is going to burn brightly for the next month, and then Saturn goes direct, Mercury goes direct, and if you have been encountering some concerns or anxieties about long-term finances between now and the middle of February, you will get things on an even keel if you've really put hard work and application in. And anything to do with perhaps the Christmas arrangements, if it has been hard to pin certain people down, can start to get clarified in a much more constructive way with Mercury going direct too. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. So Virgo, your week beginning the 24th of November is asking you, with the Sun's arrival in Sagittarius over the next month, to really be mindful about your home, emotional and family life, but also your internal world, how you feel about things. But of course the big picture is that your ruler Mercury has been retracing its steps. Saturn too has been in a retrograde since the 1st of September in the part of your chart to do with relationships. I feel this may have created quite a lot of frustration recently, and as you come into this week you may be feeling quite sensitive. But if you're thinking about changing your work situation in some ways, you can use the angle between the Sun and Pluto at the start of this week to lean into an evolution, even if it feels a little bit like you're stepping outside your comfort zone, but it's one that can be constructive. And the conversation you have on Tuesday or Wednesday can actually lead to a breakthrough. Yes, Mercury is coming to the end of its retrograde, but the conjunction with Venus means the way you express your ideas can be with clarity, but also with a lot of personality, and it may be difficult for someone to resist that. And because they're linking to Saturn and Jupiter, I feel that what has felt rather stuck can start to ease open, and by the end of this week you may feel that you're much clearer about where you stand. Perhaps you've articulated your boundaries, been clearer about what you want, maybe about the Christmas arrangements. But with Mercury going direct at the end of this week, things are going to speed up, and if there has been issues around technology, misunderstandings, cross wires, all of that can start to ease away, and it can help you to feel much more comfortable with where you are in this year's astrological story. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. Your week beginning the 24th of November is going to see a spark, a sense of ignition. Things will move quicker, particularly communications. Your mind will be more nimble too. If you've got an idea that you're really passionate about, the Sun's link in Sagittarius to Pluto suggests you can get it across with a great deal of conviction. But there is also the retrograde of Mercury and Saturn. Mercury, it may be that you've been waiting for some news on a financial matter, but it meets with Venus exactly on Tuesday, your ruler, and they both also link back to Jupiter, the planet of fortune, and Saturn, the planet of reality, but in a very positive way. So good news could come through. One of the things you will need to do this week, however, is actually not try to pack too much in. With this extra sense of excitement, just pace yourself and do prioritise what's really essential. But then on Friday, Saturn does go direct. If you have felt a little physically lower in energy since the 1st of September, or your daily routines and responsibilities have just seemed very onerous, maybe very workaday and very draining, it wouldn't be a surprise. That can ease. And also on Saturday, with Mercury going direct, as ever, when Mercury does station direct, things can start to unravel in a positive way, but it may take through into December, when Mercury returns back into Sagittarius on the 11th, comes out of the post-retrograde shadow on the 17th, to really get clear about everything. But I think generally this is a week that's going to see you much more back on the front foot, and if it has felt that you've just been waiting and frustrated and penned in, you're going to feel that things are gaining traction in a way which will really please you. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. Scorpio, your week beginning the 24th of November has seen the sun move on from your sign into Sagittarius, forging an excellent link with your modern ruler of Pluto. If you're wanting to work on the foundations of your situation, be it financially, be it in terms of your values, be it in terms of family life, that's a great combination. Something can shift. Also, you may have felt that a creative strand that you've been developing has been a case of one step forwards and two steps back. But the combination of Mercury and Venus in the early part of this week can add some extra pizzazz, and also give you an extra dimension if you want to explain your idea to someone else, particularly as they're linking superbly to Jupiter, the planet of hope and optimism in the most expansive part of your chart, but also Saturn in the area which is very much to do with working hard to express your unique charisma. Don't underestimate the impact you can have. There is a quarter moon this week, and also your traditional ruler Mars clashes with the North Node. So it's not the best of weeks to be too free and easy with your resources, but if you do apply yourself over the next month, you may be surprised by how much your finances can improve. But as the week goes on, Saturn goes direct on Friday, Mercury on Saturday. I feel that that's a very telling combination, because Saturn's been in a tricky part of your scope for the most part for 2 years, but since the 1st of September you may have not felt quite as sociable, you may have not wanted to interact with people quite as much, you may have felt even a little bit more pessimistic about some of your unique talents. That more limiting energy will tailor off now, and also with Mercury going direct, just what has been inhibiting you, whether it's the way you've been thinking about your ideas, whether it's some of your anxieties, that just seems to be dispelled. So things can move forwards this week, and because the sun has moved into the part of your chart to do with foundations, what may have felt a little wobbly recently can now start to firm up in a much more significant way. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. Sagittarius, your week beginning the 24th of November has a spark of freshness and brightness. Sun's back in your sign, it brings you into the moment. There's a sense of new beginnings, revitalization, extra determination with Mars in support. This can help you to thrust forwards with extra self-assurance, particularly around your ideas. The link between the Sun and Pluto early in the week means you can convey them in a way which other people can take seriously. But there's another part of you that maybe you're still working through that's much more sensitive. Mercury and Venus together in your 12th house. It may be about a relationship matter. Then Saturn has been retrograde in your 4th house since the 1st of September. Something to do with a property matter, your home, your emotional family life may have felt inhibited or quite weighed down. And then Jupiter, your ruler, that's in retrograde too, in the part of your chart to do with longer term finances. But despite Jupiter, Saturn and Mercury all being retrograde at the start of this week, they actually forge a really helpful alliance, suggesting if you can just tune in to your inner self, be guided by your instincts, but then take action in a very decisive way. There's a lot you can achieve this week, but don't rush. The Sun moving into Sagittarius is a very expansive, lively, fiery and passionate energy. And the quarter moon, which occurs later in the week, following on from Mars's square to the North Node, just suggests if you do override your own instincts because of a sense of urgency, it's not necessarily going to be to your benefit. But as the week draws to a close, something that's been causing some anxiety, some information can come into the open, which will create a lot of relief and release. And it may be linked to someone within your family situation or someone you haven't been quite chiming with, but a greater understanding of how they're feeling, and if you can talk it through, you can soon move on, and then that dynamism the Sun and Mars are giving you can really start to come into their own in a much more notable way. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. Capricorn, your week beginning the 24th of November could see you rather nostalgic this week, and it may be towards people that you went to school or college with, old workmates, perhaps even someone you were once involved with. And as you reminisce, you may even reach out. There could be the potential for a reunion. But in your connections to people in the here and now, what you're really looking for is trust and sincerity. It's not so much of the glitter of the festivities, it's more about the sincerity. And your ruler, Saturn, suggests if you use your words with care, it's linked to Mercury and Venus on Tuesday, which is a delicious combination in your sector of friendships and networks, but also the link between Saturn, Mercury and Venus and Jupiter, the planet of abundance. If you are linking with someone where there is that simpatico, you are in tune with them, but not just in a friendly, fun and charismatic way, more a deeper, meaningful, psychological way. One alliance could get much, much closer and deeper this week in a way which can really please you. However, the converse can be true. If you're not feeling it around certain associations, Mars is square with the North Node on Monday and the quarter moon on Friday does suggest if you hear about something or read something on social media which doesn't really chime, you don't feel is very fair, could be a little bit gossipy, it may be something that just makes you recoil a little bit, because the Sun and Mars being in your 12th house is a much more sensitive area. You can see you feeling very, very nostalgic for people from your past, but also wanting to only connect to people who understand a deeper part of your being. So your conversations, particularly around where you can constructively network and link to others, can be very strong, but it has to feel right. And if there are people who are disappointing you, you may find yourself wanting to retreat a little bit as the week draws to a close. But with Saturn, your ruler, going direct on Friday. If there have been frustrations around technology, interactions with neighbours or siblings, or you've just felt your voice hasn't been heard, particularly since the 1st of September, that can ease. And don't underestimate that there may be someone that you're connecting to who holds you in great stead and great respect, and that can become much clearer to you as this week draws to a close. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. So Aquarius, your week beginning the 24th of November could see you start to really get into the festive spirit. And that's because the sun has moved into the friendliest part of your scope. The next month, a chance to meet up and mix and mingle, socialise, but also to work on your network, something you have a great appreciation for. The position of Mars in Sagittarius too, however, does forge a jarring right angle with the North Node on Monday. If someone around you has different values, those could be revealed this week, not least with the quarter moon on Friday. But equally, if you're working towards a goal or target, and because of the combination of Mercury and Venus on Tuesday, right at the top of your chart, some kind of offer could come to you. Will it work for you? Because they're linking back to Saturn, but also to Jupiter. And I think Saturn going direct on Friday, followed by Mercury on Saturday, can help you to start to move forwards. But it needs to work for you in terms of your values, because that's what the 11th house is about. But if you can link up with people professionally that you enjoy their company, maybe even going out for an evening, that could be something that could be particular fun this week. There may even be someone you know through your work that you're finding rather alluring, and that's because of the combination between Venus and Mercury. It may be someone who's older, maybe someone younger, but also your personality power can be very important as far as goals and ambitions are concerned. And for us all, because Saturn has been in slow motion from the 13th of July, but from the 1st of September, in the part of your situation to do with earnings and your life foundations and even your self-worth, Saturn going forwards at the end of this week is really going to help all of those areas. But Mercury going direct as well means that if you've been waiting for some news that's been delayed in some way, I think you're going to get it as this week draws to a close. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more. Pisces, your week beginning the 24th of November has seen the sun ascend into the most visible part of your chart, joining up with the assertive energies of Mars. If you're wanting to have a breakthrough professionally before the end of the year, that's a great combination who are on your case. But there's three players in your sign: the North Node, point of destiny, Saturn and Neptune, and they're all in the mix this week in a very influential way. Not least on Monday, Mars is giving you more thrust, perhaps a lot more confidence, but it's clashing with the North Node on Monday. You may find yourself having to juggle what you want as an individual with what other people expect of you, and particularly if you work for a big organisation or you're trying to pitch services to an employer who maybe runs a bit more on the traditional side, and that could in some ways challenge that more creative energy of yours. But then as the week goes on, Saturn actually forges a very strong link with Mercury and Venus, which occurs on Tuesday. Now, they're in the part of your situation to do with travel, expansion, publishing. Very exciting because Saturn can be an anchor. Mercury and Venus together can be very fortunate, to be honest. Don't underestimate your words, but most of all your message, which can be very compelling. But they're both linking back to your traditional ruler of Jupiter in a very constructive way. Now, ironically, at this part of the week, Saturn, Mercury and Jupiter are all retrograde. But don't think you can't make progress. It's just there is a quarter moon in your sign on Friday, which does suggest again, a bit like Mars's clash with the North Node, there may be a little bit of a juggle between following your ambitions and staying true to your individual identity and values. But then as the week draws to a close, Saturn goes direct. If you have over the last couple of years, Pisces, really felt at times very leaden, not much vitality, not much enthusiasm, you've had to limit your world in order to meet the demands you have been able to attend to, I feel that you're going to start to break through. By the middle of February, some of that limitation will make way. But also Mercury goes direct, and if you have had some cross wires or experienced some issues around ticketing, booking for a vacation, buying or selling anything online, or even a contractual matter, those can all start to resolve themselves as this week draws to a close. But essentially the cluster of energy in your sign, which is going to continue through to when Neptune leaves you on the 26th of January and Saturn on the 14th of February, and then the true node at the end of July next year, what they are saying to you is really value what makes you uniquely you. The Sun and the position of Mars are teasing into the open opportunities to manifest your passions, your goals, ambitions, but stay true to who you are. And if there is a situation that's containing you too much and you're not enjoying it, perhaps professionally, I feel that what Venus and Mercury is saying to you, if breaking out and breaking free would really work for you and liberate you to do what's better for you, better for your soul, that could be something that gives you real food for thought as this week draws to a close. If you've yet to order your year 2026 personal forecast, you can do so now. Get the rest of this year free, 30% off, but also your life roadmap report, which gives you telling insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far. Working with that and your forecast can help you to time your moves in the months ahead really astutely. Also, you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac General, Love, Chinese and Indian written forecast for each of the 12 signs for the year ahead too. Please see the link below for more.